Hello everyone. I'd like to take a few minutes in this video to talk with all of you about the difference between bitmap and vector-based artwork. I've talked with a few of you individually, but I want to take a moment and address all of you about the difference between these two different types of artwork, because it's really important when you're working in these various design programs. The difference between bitmap, or some people call it raster artwork, and vector artwork is the way the picture is put together. In bitmap artwork, you have a set number of pixels on a canvas. Each pixel is assigned a color, and together you get your image. So if I zoom in on this very closely, you can see all of these little squares, these pixels that are given colors, and when we zoom out, we see the entire image, right? Now this is really nice and easy to work with, and this is very commonplace. All of your photographs that you take with your cameras are bitmap artwork. But if you're trying to make something like a logo or monogram, you generally want to make sure that it is vector-based. The reason is that with vector-based artwork you can scale it up so that it's really big, or you can scale it down so it's really small, and you don't lose any of the clarity. Whereas if I take this piece of bitmap artwork and I blow it up to really big, you start to see a lot of pixelation on this. You see these sharp edges. So we don't necessarily want to do that. So instead, what I'm going to show you how to do in this video is to turn this simple image from a bitmap piece of artwork into a vector piece of artwork that we can use for various design things, and that way we have more flexibility and we can scale it and it looks really sharp. This is actually really simple to do in Illustrator. All we're going to use is this image trace function right up here, and rather than clicking on the primary image trace button, we're going to click on this tracing presets button, the triangle right next to it, and I'm just going to select the 3 colors option. This is limiting the number of colors that are used in the vector version of this piece of artwork. Really we just want 1, but 3 colors is the lowest preset. So we'll go ahead and use the 3 colors, and you can see now that this image has turned into a vector piece of artwork. And if I zoom way in on this, you'll see that there no longer are individual squares, but instead you get this really nice sharp straight line all the way across the image. Right? So this means that if you take it and scale it all the way up, you'll maintain all of that clarity in it. Alright? One more thing that we want to do, I want to show you real quick here. If I go into View and say Show Transparency Grid, this checkerboard design back here is transparent elements in this image. And right now you can see that this image has a white background. Now if we want to put this design on top of some other color, we need to make sure that we get rid of that white background. And the way to do that is to go in right here to the image trace panel, just click on that, and then you may have to flip down this advanced triangle and check the ignore white box at the very bottom here. And you'll see as soon as I check that box, all of the white in the background of that design went away. Now there's a couple ways that we can get this image over into InDesign. We could save the Illustrator file and then in InDesign do a file place command and place that InDesign file. Or if we're just working on one little piece on the fly like this, we can actually just copy this element using Edit Copy or Control C or Command C, depending on which, if you're on a Mac or a PC. But we'll use a command or a copy command, and then go over into InDesign and use edit paste, Command V or Control V. Those are keyboard shortcuts that you really ought to get used to if you haven't already. They're pretty universal throughout various programs. So we'll paste that in, and there is our design. I can hold down the Shift key and scale this down. I'm holding the Shift to maintain the aspect ratio because you want to make sure you don't squash it or stretch it, right? Squash it either way. So let's go back. Alright. If you hold down the Shift key, you can maintain the aspect ratio and scale this down, and then we can put it in place where we want it to be. Scale that down a little more. Alright, now the only issue left is that this design is actually sitting on top of our letters. So let's talk one brief moment before I wrap this video up about layering in InDesign. If I want to bring that S to the front of the design, there's a couple ways I can do it. I can do it the manual way, where I right-click on that element and then go to Arrange and Bring to Front, and that'll pull that layer up to the front of the design. I'm going to undo that with Command Z. My other option is that if I go into the Layers window right here, this shows me, you may have to flip down your tab, it shows me all of the different elements in my design. So I can see I have, this is from the typography uses assignment, so I have my different text elements there, and then further down I have in this group, I have the explanation and then the rounded square, and the two pieces that I really want to be looking at are the compound path, and you can see when I select it that we get this little blue square, so it makes it a little bit easier to figure out which component you're after. And then we have our S right here. And the layers are stacked in the order that they show up in this window. So if I want to bring the S on top of the design, I just need to drag that layer on top of the design, and you can see that it changed in our design here as well. I think that's all I've got for you today. If you have any questions, let me know. I hope that this is helpful and that you can learn a bit more about how to use these different programs. But the big thing I wanted to talk about is bitmap versus vector artwork. And when you're working with bitmap artwork, Photoshop is generally the program that you want to use. And when you're working with vector artwork, Illustrator is usually the program that you want to use. And then InDesign is kind of the piece that pulls it together. It's the piece that you use to design layouts and to bring components from each, some vector components and some bitmap components to create one cohesive design. So, there you go. Good luck. If you have any questions, let me know, and have a good day.